Never felt a love like this, so peaceful and secure.
Liberia, are you ready for the real conversation? From breaking headlines to community voices, from politics and entertainment to youth empowerment and national development. This is Real Talk Liberia, a platform where truth meets the people. Real stories, real issues, real solutions. Hosted with passion, professionalism, and purpose. Keeping Liberians informed, inspired, and connected every week. Your voice, your story, your nation. Follow us on Image TV, Real Talk Liberia. Talking Liberia, the real way.
Never felt a love like this, so peaceful and secure.
Liberia, are you ready for the real conversation? From breaking headlines to community voices, from politics and entertainment to youth empowerment and national development. This is Real Talk Liberia, a platform where truth meets the people. Real stories, real issues, real solutions. Hosted with passion, professionalism, and purpose. Keeping Liberians informed, inspired, and connected every week. Your voice, your story, your nation. Follow us on Image TV, Real Talk Liberia. Talking Liberia, the real way.
How do you respond to them just finding Orange?
Well, as you mentioned, in the conference room with the commissioners and the committee, as well as Orange, first we want to thank the LTA for taking action, for investigating this complaint. Even though it took so long, but we're at the final stages of the investigation. As I did mention as well, I think the fine is a bit too low compared to the magnitude of the offense, when every single citizen should have the sense of security of their number being owned by them, and that sense of security is stolen because Orange deliberately and intentionally gave out the SIM card to someone else without the approval or knowledge of the user. It scares everyone, and the breach of privacy, the impact of such an action should commensurate with the fine. But I do understand as well that LTA says the fine is in line with the law, which does raise questions about reforms around these things, as well as penalties, not just to the government, but also to the complainant, from the company to the complainant. On the issue of the complainant's relief with all of this, we are still going to have conversations around what are the next steps in ensuring that she is adequately given relief as to what she's had to go through for the last 2 years. No citizen of Liberia, no user of any telecommunications network a number should have to go through the agony, the pain, the emotional distress of knowing that your number was taken away from you and given to someone else, and that the company has refused to identify who that person is, and having someone else in possession of your private, personal information is completely wrong and illegal. We also want to thank the LTA for mandating the company to provide such information, and hopefully that can take us a step forward. So overall, I think it's good on the part of the LTA to have received the complaint and investigated and come up with a final conclusion of the investigation and find the Orange. I'm hoping that this situation is the last of its kind, and that companies cannot get away with doing things like these to users.
Okay, hopefully it'll serve as a deterrent.
Exactly.
Yes, and how do you feel, you being the party that was injured, How do you feel about what your lawyer has just said?
Well, I'm in agreement to everything Mariah
Okay.
said, and I feel somehow because this has gone on for way too long.
Okay.
And the stress and everything, just the thought that whoever had access to my number and had access to my WhatsApp, and there's a probability that whatever it is that they had access to could be used against me in the future.
Okay.
It scares me, and I just do not want this to happen to anybody else.
Thank you. How do you respond to them just finding Orange?
Well, as
Okay, good. Thank
So
you.
yesterday we had a training
Okay.
and / meeting wherein the nursing directors of GFK, the overall nursing directors, Mrs. Joker and Lulu came along to talk with
You
all
say who
the nursing directors, Mrs. Joker
and who?
and Lulu,
Okay.
who is one of the managers at GFK.
Okay.
The both of them came along, they did a training. It was an in-service training. After the training, like they brought some PPEs. Yes. So they were like putting us on the alert that, oh, we need to be very careful whilst we giving care. Yes. Even when we're going into any patient, we should have long sleeves on, and we should make sure if we're not okay with any patient, we should get a PPE on to keep safe. Yes. The reason of this alert is because there are some set of group of people that went to Uganda for a conference, and they are being back in Liberia. And these people passed through the airport, and the airport authority, that was Mrs. Joko was saying it. He said the airport authority didn't notice until they already passed. That's the time they noticed that they came from Uganda. Yeah. He said among these people, about 5 of them were sick and was brought to GFK.
You're sick of what?
They were sick and was brought to GFK, and they were showing all the signs and symptoms of Ebola. Their eyes were red, their ears were red.
Who was saying this to you?
Mrs. Joker was saying it to the body,
Okay.
the entire body. Yes, their eyes were red, their ears were red, and all the signs. GFK couldn't handle it, so they had to call the surveillance team and hand over the case to it. Yes. They're just saying it as a way of precaution, so at least everything we're doing, we got to be very careful, even though the Ministry of Health have not come to say it yet, but we should be careful because as nurses, we are the first liners. Yeah. So they just thought of telling us. So when I went home, I called my children, I gave them a lot about the present situation that is going on, and I also work at Home for Women. So I decided to
You work at Hope for Women?
Hope for Women.
As
yes.
who?
I'm a nurse there too.
Okay.
So I decided to alert my nurses. Yes. So I sent a recording to them, alerting them because like I tried to call, these people were not online in the chat room. So I decided to send a recording to them just to alert them about what is going on because we are nurses. I never did this in any political faith. I never did it to gain influence. I only did it to protect my fellow nurses in the other facility that I work, so at least they can be aware. As I said, and I will say again, the nursing director, Mrs. Chuko, was the one that was enlightening the nurses of the present situation and cautioning us. She was the one that made the statement.
So, how JFK get involved into it?
As I said, Mrs. Zuka said, and I quote, there's some set of people that went for some kind of conference in Uganda and they are back. And among these people, 5 of them was taken to GFK because they were sick. Yes. And they came down with all the signs and symptoms of Ebola, and GFK couldn't handle it. So they had to send them to the surveillance team.
Okay, good. Thank
So
you.
yesterday we had a training
Okay.
and
I never felt a love like this. So peaceful and secure.
Liberia, are you ready for the real conversation? From breaking headlines to community voices, from politics and entertainment to youth empowerment and national development. This is Real Talk Liberia, a platform where truth meets the people. Real stories, real issues, real solutions. Hosted with passion, professionalism, and purpose. Keeping Liberians informed, inspired, and connected every week. Your voice, your story, your nation. Follow us on Image TV, Real Talk Liberia. Talking Liberia, the real way.
I never felt a love like this. Too peaceful and secure. It doesn't matter how much pain inflicted on her, she can't close the door. Despite of the pain she's going through, she stood the test of time. With the tears that flows from her eyes, she kept pressing on, hoping for a day to come that she will be free, free.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are watching us from, and a pleasant welcome to another edition of the program Real Talk Liberia with me, David Siwalu, as your regular presenter. Real Talk Liberia is your informative 1 hour interactive program that brings you discussions, major happenings in the country, and core in section from our reporters across the field. Today's edition is going to be quite interesting as we have a lot of interesting things that we are going to be talking about. One has to do with the resurfacing of Ebola in Africa, and somewhere one would say allegedly this information about it being in Liberia. Well, we are going to look into that to see what is that all about. And the next thing we are going to be looking at is that we are going to be looking at the submission of the president of Liberia submitting the War and Economic Crimes Code bill to the House of Legislature. You know, this is a good move for Liberia. I mean, fast tracking issues of corruption in Liberia, having people to be accountable, and I mean, being able to show precedence as a nation, as a government, is what we are looking forward to. So, as this bill have been sent to the House, we just hope that well, all will be done to make sure that this bill comes true. And there are a series of other things that we are going to be looking at on today's edition of the program, but I'll just ask you to stay tuned and don't you go away, for there are a lot of interesting things that we are going to be talking. This program is divided into 3 segments. The first one is the reading of major happenings in the Republic of Liberia, that is bringing you major news story that are occurring in Liberia. The second segment is where we will have our reporters will be called in to report from their spots, from their beats, from their places of assignments, to let us know what is happening at their places of assignment. And finally, the last session of this program is the talking point, and that is where we have a specific topic, as you have seen in our caption. Those are things that we are going to be talking about. And there are a lot of interesting things that have been happening over the weekend, heading into the new week. And so we are going to be talking about it. But I would just ask you to stay tuned. Don't you go away as we take this break to be right back. And when we come back, we will definitely go into our uh, first segment, which is the bulletin of news of major happenings in Liberia. And after that, we get to our second segment. So wherever you are, however you are following us, I would like to say a pleasant welcome to you. Stay tuned, don't you go away. This is Image TV, and this is the program Real Talk Liberia with me, David. Stay tuned as we take this break. To be right back.
I never felt a love like this, too peaceful and secure.
Liberia, are you ready for the real conversation? From breaking headlines to community voices, from politics and entertainment to youth empowerment and national development. This is Real Talk Liberia, a platform where truth meets the people. Real stories, real issues, real solutions. Hosted with passion, professionalism, and purpose. Keeping Liberians informed, inspired, and connected every week. Your voice, your story, your nation. Follow us on Image TV, Real Talk Liberia, Talking Liberia, the real way.
Everybody with your flag, join us, celebrate, raise your hands and be happy.
And I tell you, yes, indeed, this is the program Real Talk Liberia, Talking Liberia the real way.
God has blessed this land with natural resources.
So wherever you are this time, I just hope that you are good in health and with a sound mind, and that you are thinking about doing something positive.
It doesn't matter.
Are doing something positive that will benefit your nation, in your family, and your country, Liberia at large. For this too is Mama Liberia, and all we need are positive thinkers, people with positive thinking that can indeed move our nation forward. So I am David, and let's get into the first segment of our program today, which has to do with the presentation of major happenings in the country. So I'd like to say a pleasant welcome to you wherever you are, however you following us. So let's begin with major happenings of major and biggest development from across Liberia. And I'm your host, David Siwalu. And here are the headlines making our news for today's edition of the program. And it says President Joseph Boakai calls for unity and national action during Liberia's National Prayer Breakfast. Debate constitutes or continues nationwide over the proposed War and Economic Crimes Code. And next it says government pushes forward with anti-corruption reforms and accountability measures. The next story we have here, it says concerns rise again over sanitation and waste management in Monrovia. Our next development we have here says ongoing discussion continues around governance, public trust, and economic recovery. These and many more we have coming up on this edition of the program Real Talk Liberia. But let's take this break to be right back.
I never felt a love like this. So peaceful and secure.
Liberia, are you ready for the real conversation? From breaking headlines to community voices, from politics and entertainment to youth empowerment and national development. This is Real Talk Liberia, a platform where truth meets the people. Real stories, real issues, real solutions. Hosted with passion, professionalism, and purpose. Keeping Liberians informed, inspired, and connected every week. Your voice, your story, your nation. Follow us on Image TV, Real Talk Liberia, Talking Liberia, the real way.
Everybody with your flag, join us, celebrate, raise your hands and be happy.
And yes, indeed, talking Liberia the real way. Thanks again for rejoining us on the program, Real Talk Liberia. You know, Liberia has witnessed another very basic period that have been filled with interesting international and national conversations surrounding politics, surrounding governance, surrounding development, and accountability. And over the past period of week, political leaders, civil society actors, and ordinary citizens have continued to discuss on issues many believe will shape uh, the future direction of the country. But on this segment of the program, Real Talk Liberia, we begin with this story that has to do with where President Joseph Boakai made a message during the National Prayer Breakfast. It was held in Monrovia. Let's now go to this development on this program, Real Talk Liberia. And it says, President Joseph Boakai has called on Liberians to combine prayers with meaningful national actions as the country continues efforts towards rebuilding and development. Speaking during Liberia's National Prayer Breakfast in Monrovia, the president emphasized the importance of unity, discipline, honesty, and national responsibility. According to the president, Liberia's progress cannot depend on speeches and prayers alone, but must also include practical actions aimed at improving the lives of ordinary citizens. President Boakai encouraged Liberians to work together regardless of political, tribal, or religious differences. He also stressed the importance of integrity in public service and called on government officials to place national interest above personal growth. The National Prayer Breakfast brought together religious leaders, lawmakers, diplomats, civil society groups, and senior government officials. Many participants described the event as an important movement for reflections amid ongoing national reforms efforts. And as you all know, this prayer breakfast, the National Prayer Breakfast, was held in Liberia, organized by the government and other religious leaders, where people and leaders can come together and reflect on the journey of Liberia as it comes to our religious standpoint. And during this prayer breakfast, the president made a statement, and he says that uh, it is important that we as Liberians we do not forget about the importance of unity. We do not forget about the importance of discipline. We do not forget about the importance of honesty. We should also not forget about the importance of national responsibility. And why was the president making this statement? And why I think the president made this statement? You know, many a times we as Liberians, we tend to get more emotional when things happens. At times, we tend to be more supportive, supportive of our political parties, supportive of our political leaders more than the country Liberia. Forgetting to know that no matter what happens, Liberia will always be the only country that we will always have to make ourselves feel at home. So the president is saying that, well, despite we have our religious differences, despite we have our political differences, despite we have our tribal differences, let us not allow that to come in between us and Liberia. Whatever we do, we should always make sure that we have Liberia at the back of our mind. We should always think about Liberia. We should not forget about Liberia, because if we do, we as Liberians will be the one that will be held responsible, and we as Liberians will be the one to feel uh, the pain, because no one else, or not even the foreigners, not even the visitors that are here, will actually feel the pain and the suffering that we will feel. So he's saying that, well, it is about time that we as Liberians we come together as one, irrespective of our political differences, irrespective of our religious differences, irrespective of our tribal differences. Let us come together as one and stay united. And we should always make sure that each and every one of us have a responsibility to the country Liberia. As a citizen, you have a responsibility to the country, and that is to make sure that you promote peace. That is to make sure that you promote togetherness, unity in the country, and not all of the time we're preaching segregation and making sure that we're dividing ourselves because of political affiliation. So the president made that call, and he's saying that, well, Liberians, we need to do this for the betterment of our country. And let's go to our next story here, which has to do with the war economic crimes court bill that have been submitted, and there is a debate that is ongoing in the country. But let's get through the story, and then we will come back and give some analysis. And it says, Public discussions continues to intensify across Liberia following the submission of legislation seeking the establishment of a war and economic crimes court. President Joseph Boakai recently submitted the proposed bill to the legislature, along with a separate proposal for a national anti corruption court. The proposed War and Economic Crimes Court will investigate atrocity and serious crimes, excuse me, committed during Liberia's civil conflicts between 1979 to 2003. The legislation seeks to address crimes against humanity, war crimes, that is, wartime abuses, and economic crimes allegedly committed during the years of conflict. Across Monrovia and several counties, citizens and advocacy groups continue debating the proposal. Supporters say the court will finally bring justice to victims and strengthen Liberia's commitment to accountability and reconciliation. Others, however, continue expressing concerns about possible political tensions and the long term impact of reopening painful chapters from Liberia's past. The House of Representatives has reportedly forwarded the bill to the Joint Committee for review and recommendation before further legislative action. Political observers says the coming weeks could become one of the most defining periods in Liberia's post-war justice history. And as we all know about this story, some part of last week, the president of the Republic of Liberia, in person of President Joseph Yuma Boakai, submitted a bill that is two to the House of Legislature. One proposing the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Court, and another one proposing the establishment of a specialized court for anti-corruption crimes. And this bill have received mixed reaction, where those who are in favor of the bills are applauding the president and saying that, well, the president have done well by submitting these bills to the House of Legislature, asking them to enact it into law, establishing the War and Economic Crimes Court, and also calling on the same House to also establish a specialized anti-corruption court. They say, well, if these courts are established, it will help to strengthen the justice system of Liberia. It will help to bring deterrence to people that have been in the act of carrying out acts of corruption, stealing government resources, stealing government fundings, stealing materials that was meant to build or develop the country. Those that are in support of the bill say, well, if this bill is enacted and passed into law and the Economic Crimes Court is established, definitely people will now be on check, because you will definitely know that if you carry out any crime, every act that can be attributed to acts of corruption, definitely you will be prosecuted. And they are also supporting the act by saying that, well, if this is passed, those who committed atrocities during the Liberia 40 years of civil crisis, those people will be brought to justice. Those people will be made to answer for crimes that they committed during the war. So they say, well, this is a good thing that the president is doing, and they appreciate the president for this, and they hope that the legislators at the House of Representatives can do all they can to make sure that this is enacted into law. But on the other hand, there are other groups and civil society groupings, civil society actors, political leaders that are against that. They have some concerns as it relates to these bills that have been submitted to the both houses. And they are saying that, well, Though this bill could mean well, but they are concerned. One, as it relates to the establishing of a code that will start to reopen the painful past of people that lost their families during the war, that lost their properties during the war, that a whole lot of things were done to. Some people were raped, some people were abused. And so this other group of people are saying that, well, if these things that are happening way back, if we start to open them again, and people that experience them will start to call them back to rethink, to relive the memories of things that have happened to them before, they feel that, well, this will be painful for them. So they are speaking against it, and they are also saying that, well, even the code that will be established for economic crimes, they say, well, how sure are we that if this court is established, that it will be that their cases will be adjudicated fairly, that political things will not come in and get involved into it. So they are having some concerns. They're having some concern, and they say, well, this is something that we need to start looking into now, because we do not want this to be passed and then we start to have problems. But meanwhile, the House of Representatives or the legislators received the bill, the acts, and they have sent it to committees to look at it and to come up with a suggestion or recommendation, if there are any, before they can start to speak towards the bill. So far, so good. The bill that was submitted to the houses, they are in committee room and they are being looked at for recommendation and any other changes that will have to be made as the process go on. Now to another development that has to do with where the government of Liberia is pushing for stronger anti-corruption measures. And it says here, the Bwaka administration is continuing efforts to strengthen anti-corruption enforcement and improve accountability across public institutions. The proposed anti-corruption code will reportedly focus specifically on corruption-related offenses, including bribery, abuse of office, procurement fraud, and misuse of public funds. Government officials argued that creating a specialized anti-corruption court could speed up investigation and prosecution while restoring public trust in state institutions. Liberians have continued demanding greater transparency, especially regarding government spending, public contracts, and service delivery. Civil society organization says the success of the anti-corruption drive will depend heavily on political independence, fair prosecution, and equal application of the law. The issue of corruption remains one of the country's most discussed national concerns as citizens continue facing economic hardship and unemployment challenges. And this still continues on the bill that was sent to the House of Representatives for passage of the anti-corruption specialized court establishment and that of the War and Economic Crimes Court establishment. Well, folks are saying that, well, if these courts are established, it will spill up trials into allegation of these economic sabotage cases we are having here, these criminal conspiracy cases we are having here. They say that once these courts are established, these things will be speed up. Now, we can understand, we can see how long it took for the case involving former Finance Minister Samuel Tuer to reach to the stage that it is on right now. We know how long it takes. And so people are saying that, well, it is a good thing that the president is doing, calling for the establishment of the anti-corruption court and that of the War and Economic Crimes Court. And they are hoping that if these courts are established, It would not be more political than being a neutral institution. And that is the concern now of certain group of people. They welcome the idea of establishing these courts, but their concern is that whether if these courts are established, will they be neutral or will they start getting more involved into political activities and start prosecuting people based on their political affiliation? And that is their concern right now. And this concern is valid. And we just hope that if these codes are established, that they will continue to work for the purpose for which they were created, and not to serve a political master, and not to serve a political party, and not to target people because they are from a different set of political institution. No, that is not what we want, and we hope and pray that it will not happen as we are saying it. And our next development we have here is the concern of sanitation in Monrovia. And it says here, sanitation and waste management problems in Monrovia are once again attracting national attention following renewed public debate over conditions of the capital city. Recent discussion intensified after comments regarding the cleanliness of Monrovia sparked public reaction and political conversation. Residents in several communities continued complaining about overflowing garbages, blocked drainage system, and poor sewage management. Reports indicate that areas around Waterside, Center Street, and major commercial zones continued experiencing sanitation challenges, especially during the rainfall periods. Health experts warn that poor sanitation could increase the risks of disease outbreak if urgent action is not taken. Now, this issue about the sanitary state of the country continues to go on the rise as there continue to be mixed view, where one group of people is saying that, well, yeah, we agree that the country is not that clean as compared to other countries across or around Africa, but there are strife, there are efforts that are being made to clean up the country, and we have to also admit to that. You cannot keep on saying the country is dirty, but then you are not appreciating the efforts that are being made to clean up the country. And some people are saying that even those that are claiming that the country are dirty or the country is dirty were the one that never for once spoke against the dirtiness of the country when they were in authority. They never say anything about the country dirtiness. They never made mention of how dirty the country was when they were in authority. But it is now that they are not in authority that is when they know that the country is dirty. And besides that, the country is much cleaner now than it was before. And that is the argument now that is ongoing in the country, where another side is saying that, well, no, 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 we cannot accept that because the country is actually dirty, very, very much dirty. And there are efforts, there are things that needs to be done to make the country a cleaner one and a better one. And now to this interesting development where the Liberia Telecommunication Authority has fined Orange GSM a company for the unauthorized insurance of SIM cards. And it says here, the Liberia Telecommunication Authority has ruled against Orange Liberia after finding the company liable for the unauthorized insurance of a customer's SIM card to a third party, which resulted in a piracy and communication breach. The case involved Miss Zilla Johnson, whose Orange Liberia number stopped working in February 2024 after it was wrongfully issued to another individual without her consent. Ms. Johnson added that the unauthorized person later gained access to accounts linked to her SIM, locking her out permanently. During the investigations, it was found that the SIM card was improperly issued to the third party by Orange in violations of company's procedures and Orange license conditions. The LDA determined that Orange Liberia failed to adequately protect customer information and violated provisions of the Telecommunication Act of 2027, that is 2007, related to customer confidentiality, data protection, and unauthorized access to telecommunication systems. And so, as part of its ruling, the LTA ordered Orange Liberia to disclose the identities of the employee involved and the persons who obtained the SIM card. The authority also imposed a total fine of 4 million Liberian dollars for security and communication violations. And this thing is not actually the first time for it to happen. I have experienced it, and I know that many of you have also experienced it, where you have your SIM card, and at times you will realize that you are not receiving calls for like 1, 2 weeks, sometimes a month. You will not receive call. But the day you will receive a call, people will tell you that I have been calling you and you have been answering your call, but you have been saying that you don't know me and this and that. And this was exactly what happened to this lady, Zila. She had her SIM card, which is a orange GSM SIM card that she bought. She registered in her name and she was using this SIM card. But all of a sudden, her SIM card became inactive. It stopped working. She couldn't access her contacts. She couldn't access her calls. She couldn't access her phone license she had on the SIM card. And all of her accounts that she had attached to the SIM card, her Facebook account, her WhatsApp account, maybe Instagram, maybe TikTok, and whatever account she had, she lost all of them because she no longer had access to the SIM card. And because of this, she took Orange Liberia to court. And just imagine this. This case has been in court since 2024. 2024, this case been in court. And it was recently, over the weekend, that this case finally came to a conclusion where the Liberia Telecommunication Authority fined Orange Liberia the amount of 4 million Liberian dollars for breaching communication laws. And they should pay it for security and communication damage purposes. And Orange Liberia is also being asked by the government of Liberia to make sure that they turn over those who are involved or who were involved in the act. The government says that, well, those who were involved in taking this lady's SIM card, taking her number and giving it to another person, making her to lose her contacts, making her to lose her money, making her to lose access to all of her social media accounts. The government is saying that, well, Orange Liberia should make those people available so that they can answer for the crime that they committed. And this is something serious. This is something that this is not the first time. This has happened before. And most of the time I say the reason why these things continues to happen is because actions are not being taken against these companies. How can I pay for my SIM card, register my SIM card in my name, and then you take my SIM card, you take my number and give it to another person while I'm using my SIM card? You take my number and give it to another person, and that person starts to use my number. And then the SIM card I have, it becomes inactive. I can no longer use the SIM card. So I become a loser. And for the fact that this case took so long to be settled, it means that we need more courts to be established for these matters in Liberia. Not just a case for crimes, war crimes, and corruption. We also need these specialized courts to be established in the country so that when these things happen, they can be tried faster, and that they can be brought to an end. So those who are going through the trauma can have time to rest and recover sooner. But if these cases continue to delay, look at this case started from since 2024. 2024, this case started. Look at the time now that is being brought to an end. 2026. That kind of delay. So what if this lady have said, well, since this is being delayed, let me just forget it. Liberia way. Let me just forget it. So then she forget it now, and she lose her contact, she lose all of her social media accounts, she lose all of her money. But thank God the justice system saw reason to grant this woman justice. And now Orange Liberia is being fined $4 million Liberian dollars to be paid for damage of privacy. Excuse me, for damage of privacy. And I welcome this. And this should be done often. Let these GSM companies know that, well, they cannot keep violating the rights of Liberians. They get out today, they increase the tariff on data. They get rid today, they reduce costs. They get rid today, they increase the prices of mini and data. Anything they want to do, anytime, they just do it. So I think if these legal actions starts to be taken against these GSM company, they will now begin to respect their customers. And when they are about to make decisions, they will make sure that they do it the right way so that they cannot be held in contempt or they cannot be held liable for committing a crime. So that's it for that other development. And now to our final development, and this has to do with the issue of the resurfacing of the Ebola virus in Africa. And allegedly, a nurse came up to say that, well, Ebola have allegedly arrived in Liberia. And she made so many statements. But, well, I cannot speak for her. I cannot talk for her. So we will watch and listen to this interview conducted by Front Page Africa as she explained how she got the information that, yes, indeed, Ebola is in Liberia. So let's listen to her. And after that, we will be back.
Okay, good. Thank
So
you.
yesterday we had a training
Okay.
and slash meeting wherein the nursing directors of GFK, the overall nursing directors, Mrs. Johal and Lulu came along to talk with
You
us.
say who?
The nursing directors, Mrs. Johal
And who?
and Lulu,
Okay.
who is one of the managers at GFK.
Okay.
The both of them came along, they did a training. It was an in-service training. After the training, like they brought some PPEs. Yes. So they were like putting us on the alert that, oh, we need to be very careful whilst we're giving care. Yes. Even when we're going into any patient, we should have long sleeves on, and we should make sure if we're not okay with any patient, we should get a PPE on to keep safe. Yes. The reason of this alert is because there's some set of group of people that went to Uganda for a conference,
Okay.
and they have been back in Liberia. And these people passed through the airport,
Okay.
and the airport authority, that was Mrs. Joko was saying it.
Okay.
He said the airport authority didn't notice until they already passed. That's the time they noticed that they came from Uganda.
Okay.
Yeah. He said among these people, about 5 of them were sick and was brought to GFK.
You're sick of what?
They were sick and was brought to GFK, and they were showing all the signs and symptoms of Ebola. Their eyes were red, their innards were red.
Who was saying this to you?
Mrs. Joker was saying it to the body,
Okay.
the entire body. Yes, their eyes were red, their innards were red, and all the signs. GFK could not handle it, so they had to call the surveillance team and hand over the case to it. Yes, they just saying it as a way of precaution. So at least everything we're doing, we got to be very careful, even though the Ministry of Health have not come to say it yet, but we should be careful because as nurses, we are the first liners here. So they just thought of telling us. So when I went home, I called my children, I gave them a lot about the present situation that is going on. And I also work at Home for Women. So I decided to
You work at Home for Women?
Home for Women.
As
yes.
who?
I'm a nurse there too.
Okay.
So I decided to alert my nurses. Yes. So I sent a recording to them, alerting them because like I tried to call, these people were not online in the chat room. So I decided to send a recording to them just to alert them about what is going on because we are nurses. I never did this in any political field. I never did it to gain influence. I only did it to protect my fellow nurses in the other facility that I work. So at least they can be aware. As I said, and I will say again, the nursing director, Mrs. Chuko, was the one that was enlightening the nurses of the present situation and cautioning us. She was the one that made the statement.
So, how JFK get involved into it?
As I said, Mrs. Zuka said, and I quote, there's some set of people that went for some kind of conference in Uganda and they are back. And among these people, 5 of them was taken to GFK because they were sick. Yes. And they came down with all the signs and symptoms of Ebola, and GFK couldn't handle it. So they had to send them to the surveillance team.
I never felt a love like this. So peaceful and secure.
Liberia, are you ready for the real conversation? From breaking headlines to community voices, from politics and entertainment to youth empowerment and national development. This is Real Talk Liberia, a platform where truth meets the people. Real stories, real issues, real solutions. Hosted with passion, professionalism, and purpose, keeping Liberians informed, inspired, and connected every week. Your voice, your story, your nation. Follow us on Image TV, Real Talk Liberia, Talking Liberia, the real way.
Everybody with your flag, join us, celebrate, raise your hands and be happy. God has blessed this land with natural resources, yeah. Let us use it well. From the east to the west to the north and the south, empower yourself, This glorious land of liberty shall ever be ours, It doesn't matter what tribe or race you belong. We are all one people. Whether you can see.
And I tell you, yes, indeed, it doesn't matter the tribe or race or religion that you belong to. We are all one people.
Let's put Liberia first in all that we do. This to the young and the older.
So in all that we do, let us make sure that we put Liberia first, because Liberia is the only country that we have. If we lose it today, well, it's over. So in whatever you do, in however way that you do it, make sure that you always think of Liberia, and no other person, no other political party can be above Liberia. Do not do it, because if you do it, it means that, well, you are against the state, you are against the country, you are against your mother's land. So let's do all we can to make sure that Liberia is our only and the best in all that we do. All right, so folks, this is how I would like to welcome you to another edition of our second, that is the final segment of the program, the talking point on Real Talk Liberia.
We are first in all that we do. This to the young and the older.
So wherever you are, however you join us, I would like to say a pleasant welcome to you. My name is David, and I am your host, your presenter of this program, Real Talk Liberia. And on our talking point, we are looking at the resurfacing of the Ebola virus in Liberia. We know 2014, what this did to us, man. We cannot forget about this. So when we get information that Ebola is around Africa, we got to take it serious. When we get information, whether it is allegedly or whether the person lying or whether the person lying or that Ebola is on the borders of Liberia, we got to take it very serious because, well, it always says that where there is smoke, there is fire.
We'll be
So let's take it.
free from confusion.
Where there is smoke, there is fire. And this is a popular saying in Liberia. And so we have to take this very seriously. And this nurse, Miss Bidel, Paula Bidel, came up and said that, well, we went for a training, a in-service training. And during this training, we were told to be careful as health givers, as caregivers, as health workers. We need to be careful. And we were also advised that whenever we are going to treat a patient, we should always make sure that we put on the nose mask. We'll make sure that we put on the long sleeves, especially when we are not satisfied with the patients that we are seeing. She also said, during the training, we were told to be careful that some group of people, Liberians, they went for a conference in Uganda, but they are back in the country. And as we all know, Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo are the two places that the resurfacing of the Ebola virus was announced. And she said, the nursing director in person of Mrs. Jokai told us that, well, this group of people came from Uganda, but the airport authority were not paying attention. They were not attentive. And so because of this, the people enter the country. They check the people in, my people, and the people enter the country. So now, when they later realized that, well, these people are from Uganda, and the issue of Ebola is high in Uganda. So they decided to trace them. And while tracing them, they were able to what? Find 5 of them. I'm quoting exactly what Paula Bidel said. She said, Nurse Jokai told them that the surveillance team were able to trace 5 of the people that came back from Uganda. And when the 5 persons were taken to JFK diagnosed that these people were showing signs and symptoms of the Ebola virus. And we all know what are the signs and symptoms of Ebola virus because we have experienced it before. And so we know. But if you have forgotten, let me tell you, the signs and symptoms include swollen eyes, red eyes, fever, feeling feverish, coughing. Those are all signs of the Ebola virus. And Nurse Bidel said the nursing director in person of Mrs. Jokai told them that after JFK realized that these people were showing symptoms of the virus and that JFK could not handle the case, what they did was to send the people to the surveillance team. And as we know, the surveillance teams are responsible to make sure that they tackle the spread of the issue of this virus in the country. And so she said, Mrs. Jokai told them to be careful when they are treating patients. They should be careful how they go around patients because allegedly Ebola could be in Liberia. And according to her, after getting this information, firstly, as a parent, she thought about the safety of her children. So she went home and told her children that please, be careful. It is possible that Ebola could be in Liberia. Just from a training where I was told that some people from Uganda are now in Liberia, and the surveillance team is trying to trace them. So please, be careful as you are here. Be careful as you people go to school. Be careful who you people play with. But Nurse Bidel did not stop there. She decided again that, since I am a health worker, and I know that I have my colleagues that I work with, let me also inform them about this. So according to her, she went into their chat room and she placed a call. But as she placed the call, according to her, majority of her colleagues were not online. So she decided to say that, since I cannot get them online through the call, let me leave a voice message. So that was how she recorded the information and placed it into the chat room. And after this message went into the chat room, that was from that chat room that the message started to come public. So now, this lady is trying to inform her colleague that you guys need to be careful. It's just like the thing that we can say, training of trainers. You train me so I can go and train somebody. You gave me the information about being careful, that something bad will happen. So I, as a nurse, went to tell my fellow nurse that, you people need to be careful, that something bad will happen. But as I am telling my fellow nurse, somebody among us took the information and published it. And then this information started to go public. This information started to go wild. But then the Ministry of Health says that, whatever this lady is saying is false. Whatever the lady is saying is misleading. That there is no information regarding the people that she's claiming came from Uganda. There is no information regarding Ebola being in Liberia. So the Ministry of Health authorized the arrest of Nurse Paula Bidel. And she was arrested and placed behind bars. But this is where this whole thing gets interesting. Now, there are two ways to this. And the first is that it's either Nurse Bidel is lying and that she's brave and she is doing this intentionally, or Nurse Bidel is telling the truth and certain group of people do not want to admit that yes, indeed, this is true. And if and only if, for the first scenario, Nurse Bidel is telling a lie, she will definitely be prosecuted. If Nurse Paula Bidel is telling a lie, she should be prosecuted. She should be fined. Even if possible, her license should be revoked. her license should be revoked. Because if she's studying a lab, then it means that she's capable of curing patients at the places that she's working. For the fact that she could come and create such a story and come and lie to the Liberian people, it means that she should be prosecuted for this. That is the first part. The second part is, if Nurse Paula Bidel is telling the truth and the Liberian government do not want Liberians to be aware of such information, it means that the Liberian government do not mean well for its citizens. It means that the Liberian government do not mean well for its citizens. How can such a thing happen? Or how can such a thing be happening in the country and then you keep it undercover? Instead of informing the nation, instead of informing the country, so that people can be able to take precaution, you decide to keep it undercover. And when someone who means well try to inform their colleagues about it, and then you come and arrest the person and bring the person to public ridicule, I mean, only if this is what is happening, then the government of Liberia needs to be answerable to the people of Liberia. You cannot do this. You cannot do this to your own people. You cannot have such an information, a very important one, that the people need to know about, but then you keep it in secret. You do not tell them. You do not inform them about it. And if someone who heard the information decides to inform the Liberian people, then he starts to bring the person to public ridicule. If this is what is happening, then the government of Liberia does not mean well for the people, for its citizens. But if Nurse Paula Bidel is lying on the government of Liberia, if the lady is lying on the government of Liberia, if this lady is lying, on Nurse Joker, then definitely she needs to be prosecuted. There is a need that she be prosecuted. Serious actions needs to be taken against her. Well, I have been joined by my boss, which is Andrew Don, and I believe that he have an input to make into this discussion. Welcome, Chief.
Well, I just came to Spa. Thank you so much for the program. Saw the link and then you're following. You making a great job, even though I don't know what much you actually discussing, but I came in talking about the lady who alarmed about the alleged Ebola outbreak. But it's a good thing that you do the proper investigation into the matter. Let they come out and tell us what's actually happening, who is wrong, who is right in the process, because this is pertinent. I just heard it, the head of MPhil, during a press conference today, that they are trying to quarantine people who are traveling from the affected nations. In my mind, right now, we should not even allow foreigners to travel in this country from the affected nation. If they're your citizen, you can quarantine them. But foreigners that from the country, they should not come in your country right now. Let them stay wherever they are until the crisis goes down. But other than that, you allowing them into your country, they may spread. You can allow your citizen to come because it's not their home, and then you can set up a place, an isolation area where you'll be able to quarantine them. But if you allow guest visitors to come as tourists in your country, and then you want to isolate them, I think it is wrong. You should put in a measure, the proper health mechanism measure, so that they cannot be able to come in the country. There is not people who know what Ebola did to us in the country. A lot of people lost more than almost to 5,000 persons. Okay, so today the Ministry of Health and the MPhil should be very serious about this thing. Whether or not the lady alarm or what she alarmed was true or false, but they should be vigilant. They should be proactive in handling this thing. I know that the MPhil, is capable of managing health crisis, well, public health crisis. I know, but notwithstanding, we as citizens should also be on the alert. So for me, like I said, I think I have problem with the MPhil head right now, who's saying the monitoring people who left their country and came into Liberia. The hell no. The very big they come on that plane, they should not even disembark the plane. Where you come from, TR Congo, or where you come from, Uganda, as a Ugandan citizen or TR Congo citizen, stay right on that plane and go back. We cannot put you on our soil. If you're a citizen, you can put them back and isolate them somewhere. But you cannot do that to the people from the affected country. I don't know how Labrador people, it's difficult to learn something. So they put them there up the head of the people over there, and they say that they do nonsense. They do nonsense. The health MPhil should be very, very responsible enough to know that public health is a health issue for a lot of people. Why would you allow it to go in the country? Where would the immigration and security about the airport security to ensure that look they didn't just embark the plane? But why are you allowing them to quarantine them? If they're a citizen, it's okay. You can quarantine them somewhere and monitor them. But we can control what the foreign national, we can quarantine them over there, lead them, send them back to that country. But again, I just talked to John in to follow it. I'll be following in the background. But thank you. And have a good day, and thank you for the show. Let's continue to share the show. Let's encourage everybody to come and join the platform. Thank you, and I'll talk to you later.
Thanks so much for joining in, and do have yourself a wonderful day. And that's my own
Okay,
boss,
man.
my senior man, Mr. Don. He just joined in to have a say on the program. And just what he is saying. I mean, how can you be coming up now and telling us that, well, we are quarantining people that are coming from in Uganda, we are quarantining people who are coming from in DR Congo? Why will you be doing that? Why will you even allow people from those countries to come into your country at this point when you know exactly what is happening there? Why will you be doing it? Why will you be doing it? So that is why I said, if Nurse Paula Bidel is telling a lie, then she should be prosecuted. If she lying on the government of Liberia, if she's lying on the Ministry of Health, let her be prosecuted for that. But if she is telling the truth, and the government of Liberia does not want the truth to come up, and that is why they are putting her to public ridicule, then I know that the government does not mean well to its citizens. And the government needs to answer for that. How can you do this to your people? Why will you be allowing people from Uganda to still be entering in this country by now? Why will you be allowing people from DR Congo to be entering into this country by now? When you know that those countries are now fighting Ebola at the highest level. So why will you be allowing them to come into your country? So why will you be doing it? Why will you be allowing them? Why will you be allowing them? And you know how many cases DR Congo have reported so far from the Ebola virus thing. How many cases have DR Congo reported? 1,000 plus people have died in those countries, and you are allowing people to come from those places to come here? What are you doing? Do you care about the safety of your people? Do you mean well for Liberians? These are some of the things that happen, and you get people sitting, and it starts to think. People start to have a second thought. Why in God's name will you allow people from DR Congo? Why in God's name will you allow people from Uganda to still enter in Liberia at this point? When you know what is happening there, then you say you're quarantining them. You say you are quarantining them. The first batch came, and you allow them to slip through your fingers, and now you are around trying to find them. You are trying to locate them, according to Paula. But now you are talking about quarantining people from Uganda and DR Congo. Are you trying to tell us that what this lady have said, that what this lady have said is true? Is this what you are trying to say? But because you never wanted her to come up to the public, so you are doing it undercover. And because she came up and said it, so now you are bringing her to public ridicule. You are suffering her, punishing her, putting her in jail, arresting her publicly. Is this what you should be doing now? Instead of coming and apologizing to the people of Liberia for the mistake that you have made, you are arresting someone for coming to tell the citizens that yes, indeed, people from Uganda have entered into Liberia and they might be having the virus. So now you yourself have come out and confirmed it that yes, indeed, people from Uganda are entering into the country. You yourself have come up to confirm it that people from DR Congo are now entering in the country. So should we start to arrest you too? Should we arrest you for doing this? Why can't our leaders just be fair to us? Why you people cannot just be fair to us? I mean, this is something that you are putting every citizen of this country at risk. You are risking our lives. And this lady came up to say it. And people thought that maybe she was creating content. People thought that she wanted to be popular. People thought that she wanted followers. That was why she published that information, not knowing that this was actually happening. And you are now coming up in the country and saying that, well, we are quarantining people from Uganda. We are quarantining people from the Democratic Republic of Congo. And you knew that this was happening. And the lady came up and said it, and you arrested her. You brought her to public ridicule. For what? Because you wanted to do it in secret? You never wanted it to come out to the public? Is this what you wanted for Liberia? Is this the well that you claim to mean for Liberia? Is this the well that you mean for Liberia? Where our leaders needs to do better. Our leaders needs to be accountable to the citizens. I mean, how can you do this to the public? How? Putting everyone at risk. Now nobody knows which one of the community these people are in. Nobody knows where can we find these people. We do not know where they are lodging. We do not even know whether they are among us now. But then the lady came up to say it. You arrested her. Well, I say, if she was lying, let her be prosecuted. If possible, let her license be revoked. But if she was telling the truth, I myself will join people and we will support Paula to sue any person that arrested her and brought her to public ridicule. We will support her and she will take the government to court for doing what you have done. If it just comes out that what she was saying or what she said is true, well, you people will be held accountable. You will be held accountable for this. You cannot treat Liberians like this. Why? Why will you do this? And now you are coming up with a press conference that you are quarantining people from Uganda. You are quarantining people from Democratic Republic of Congo. So it means that you've been doing this ever since. But because the story has already come up, that is why now you are trying to make a cover story. Is this the well you claim to me for Liberia? Is this the well? You people have to do better. You people need to do better. There is a need that you people do better for this country. Because what you people are doing now is unacceptable. And it is wrong. And there is a need that our health authorities come and apologize to the country. And make sure they do everything possible. Do everything possible, man. That we hear that cases of Ebola in Liberia and people are being infected. Definitely something else will happen because you people will be held accountable and you will answer. You will answer for this. You will answer for this. You cannot do this. We're talking about the well-being of the country. We're talking about the growth and development of the country. The president just came up and called for unity. The president just came up and talked about our responsibility to the state. The president just came up and talking about us being truthful, us being reliable. So what are you doing now? Why will you even do this? You people need to do well. You people need to take action. You need to do something before this gets out of hand, because we do not want to see or hear ambulances running around here again. We know what Ebola did to us in 2014. We know what we went through. We know how many people died, how many souls we lost. And we cannot accept it again. So let the health authorities, the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, the Health Ministry, the JFK, all of you people, put your teams together and start to work, because we do not want this to go out of hand. If you people are quarantining people now, do it properly and make sure that you trace everyone that have entered this country. Trace them and find them and take them from among us. Let them be quarantined. We do not want to go back to where we came from, 2014. So please, do all you can to stop this process, that it should not go long. This is what I have to say today on this edition of the program, Real Talk Liberia. This is Real Talk Liberia, and we are talking Liberia the real way. We are not sugarcoating. We are saying it as it comes, because we need you people to work. We need you people to be accountable. We need you people to be truthful, to be fair to us, not to be harming us and be hiding it from us. So I hope that the health authorities will begin to do what they need to do for the betterment of the country. Well, folks, if you're just joining us, this is the program Real Talk Liberia on Image TV, which means David. And I am your regular presenter. My co-presenter, Vavi, is not here today. And I just hope that he's doing well wherever he is. Well, it is about time that I take my leave of you. But before I take my leave, let us once again listen to this interview by Front Page Africa with the lady Paula. Let's hear her once again, and after that, I will come back and say bye-bye to you. Until then, Liberians, let us be careful. It could be here. Let us be careful. They could be among us. Let us be careful. Let's take all of the precautionary methods, please, and let us stay safe. Let's once again listen to this recording from Paula Bidel with Front Page Africa.
Okay, good. Thank
So
you.
yesterday we had a training
Okay.
and slash meeting wherein the nursing directors of GFA, the overall nursing directors, Mrs. Johal and Lulu came along to talk with all
Say who?
the nursing directors, Mrs. Johal
And who?
and Lulu,
Okay.
who is one of the managers at GFA.
Okay.
The both of them came along, they did a training. It was an in-service training. After the training, like they brought some PPEs. Yes. So they were like putting us on the alert that, oh, we need to be very careful whilst we giving care. Yes. Even when we're going into any patient, we should have long sleeves on, and we should make sure if we're not okay with any patient, we should get a PPE on to keep safe. Yes. The reason of this alert is because there's some set of group of people that went to Uganda for a conference, and they are being back in Liberia. And these people passed through the airport, and the airport authority, that was Mrs. Joko, was saying it. He said the airport authority didn't notice until they already passed. That's the time they noticed that they came from Uganda. Yeah. He said among these people, about 5 of them were sick and was brought to GFA.
You're sick or what?
They were sick and was brought to GFA, and they were showing all the signs and symptoms of Ebola. Their eyes were red, their innards were red.
Who was saying this to you?
Mrs. Joker was saying it to the body,
Okay.
the entire body. Yes, their eyes were red, their innards were red, and all the signs. GFK couldn't handle it, so they had to call the surveillance team and hand over the case to it. Yes. They're just saying it as a way of precaution, so at least everything we're doing, we got to be very careful, even though the Ministry of Health have not come to say it yet, but we should be careful because as nurses, we are the first liners here. So they just thought of telling us. So when I went home, I called my children, I gave them a lot about the present situation that is going on. And I also work at Home for Women. So I decided to
You
get
work at Hope for Women?
Home for Women.
As
Yes.
who?
I'm a nurse there too.
Okay.
So I decided to alert my nurses. Yes. So I sent a recording to them, alerting them because like I tried to call, those people were not online in the chat room. So I decided to send a recording to them just to alert them about what is going on because we are nurses. I never did it in any political field. I never did it to gain influence. I only did it to protect my fellow nurses in the other facility that I work. So at least they can be aware. As I said, and I will say again, the nursing director, Mrs. Juko, was the one that was enlightening the nurses of the present situation and cautioning us. She was the one that made the statement.
So, how JFK get involved into it?
As I said Mrs. Zuka said in her quote, there's some set of people that went for some kind of conference in Uganda and they are back. And among these people, 5 of them was taken to JFK because they were sick. Yes. And they came down with all the signs and symptoms of Ebola, and JFK couldn't handle it. So they had to send them to the surveillance team.
Indeed, this is Liberia for you. And this tells us that we are not safe, that anything can happen anytime. So we need to do all we can to protect ourselves. We need to do all we can to protect our families. We need to do all we can to protect our community because Ebola is not a plaything. Those of us that can remember what happened 2014, we know what happened. We know the amount of lives that were lost. We know the amount of bodies that we had to bury. Please, let us be careful. Whether it is here, whether it is not here, let us be careful and do all we can to keep ourselves safe, to keep our family safe. So on this light, I would like to say, Liberians, whatever we do is either we are doing it for the benefit of Liberia or we are doing it against Liberia. What is happening now? I mean, it says a lot. And as I've said during the talking point segment of this program, if and only if the nurse, Miss Paula Bidell, if she is lying, if she is telling a lie, I say she is brave and she is determined and she is doing it intentionally. It means that it was well planned and she needs to be prosecuted. And if possible, her lessons should be revoked. But if, just if, what Nurse Paula is saying is truth, if the revelation that she made is true, then the government of Liberia needs to say something. The government of Liberia needs to apologize to that young lady. And if possible, they need to do a lot for her, for bringing her to public ridicule, for disgracing her publicly. They need to do more for her. Because what we are seeing, if the national